Welcome back to another episode, once again, of King of the Bean. My name is Ryan, reigning uninterrupted for 3 times now, joined by Josh and
Hi.
Ian. As always, my boys. Say hi, my boys.
Hey.
So for those of you who do not know, this is a little show we like to do where we decide a host based on picking beans from a bean dispensary machine.
Colored beans.
And we pick a color, and whoever gets the most wins and gets to become the king for the episode, and the king decides the topics of discussion.
So a jelly bean is just a type of bean. It's not like a brand or anything.
Oh.
I think so.
So can we
The
say
brand is this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we don't say this, but we can say that.
Got it.
We can go with this.
I don't know how laws work. It's far too complicated.
Because this is the brand. It's not like Band-Aid where we think of like a bandage. And we associate the name with the brand.
Kleenex.
Yeah.
Or like Coca-Cola with the Coca-Cola.
Anyway.
All right. Well, now that the obligatory small talk's out of the way, let's pick a host.
Like a very small talk.
Ian, what color would you like?
Pink.
Josh?
I'll take red.
I'm gonna go purple.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going purple. Let's get a good chunk out.
It's all purple.
It's
pretty
equal.
diverse.
It's all one color.
It's one of each.
We have pink. We have one pink, one red, one green, one orange, one yellow, one purple. Great.
Oof. Thank you for sticking with us, guys. This is gonna be an
Okay,
ordeal.
great. I don't think it's me.
It's
Oh, 4 reds.
Four reds. Josh
All
is
right.
the king.
finally, it's been years. Hello, guys. So I am the king.
Josh
of
is
the
the
bean.
king.
Yes.
I have been dethroned.
Finally.
Is 3 the longest stretch anyone's been king so far?
I think so. I don't think anyone's gone past 3. I think he is the only 3.
I am the 3.
Yeah. It was you, me, you, me, him.
me.
That's something like that. We'll
Alright.
figure it out later.
Okay.
But for today's topic,
Yes.
I wanted to talk about dating and relationships and our experiences going through those things.
I don't have any of those.
You have a relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like
It's like, okay.
That was the
Unless you-
joke.
didn't tell
That
Josh
was,
something.
Yeah, right? It's like, I'm here.
that was the joke.
Uh-huh.
It landed.
Wow.
So what I wanted to talk to you guys about was like, what was your experience like first dating? Like, when did you first start dating?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. With someone in particular?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I didn't start with this guy.
Yeah.
He was my last one, actually.
So far.
You know, funny how that works.
I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be. I guess you could not be exclusive.
That's true.
Exclusive. I like the exclusive.
I don't think I said it like that.
In his head canon, that's how you said it.
You said it with a little bit of, and then I kind of embellished.
Yeah.
So Ian, yes, you started dating about 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and how was that? What did you do going into dating scene? What made you want to start dating?
Good question, Josh. Good question.
I don't know.
Anyways,
I
next
mean,
person.
I mean, because it kind of just seems like something you do, right? Like,
If you want to,
if you
yeah.
want to, yeah. Did you
And
want to
People
date?
don't want to.
huh?
You clearly wanted to date.
Yeah.
Is that because you felt like you were at a certain point and you'd never done it before, or is that?
I mean, a little bit of that, but also, I mean, you see, I mean, I watch a lot of TV,
Mm-hmm.
and you see a lot of these people where they find, like,
The
their
one.
partner, where they're, like, your best friend,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys do everything together, and you gel, and I was looking for that, because I was like, I want a best friend,
Who isn't?
and I found one.
Hi.
Hi. And, but yeah, and also, I mean, I had just recently, like, come out, so it was also a way to meet other, gay people.
Sure. It's good to see how that's like. It's terrible out there, let me tell you. But we'll get that to us.
It's funny though, cause I'm up here in Santa Clarita,
Oh, okay, that's what you meant. Okay.
right when I started dating, but I was looking at jobs all over like LA, but I was currently working in OC and I thought like we might have to go back eventually. So my range was like all the way from here to there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think I went on 3 dates, or dates with 3 different guys.
Mm-hmm.
And only one of them was local. One of them was OC. No, I went on dates with 4 guys.
Scandalous.
One was local, 2 were from OC, and 1 was from this guy in LA near my new job. So.
I wonder who that was.
Yeah, I wonder.
But, yeah, so I actually, like, for most of my dates, I had to travel a lot.
Yeah.
And go pretty far.
Yeah. But none of them were local for you.
Yeah.
That's something. What about you, Ryan? When did you first start dating?
I first started. So I don't think I've ever done the whole dating thing. Like I've tried, like going on dates with different people.
Sure.
Like the try and buy period.
Sure.
Try and buy period?
Trademark.
Is that what they call it?
That's why I'm calling
it.
I don't know who you're talking about is. That's just a term.
Well, I didn't know if you read that somewhere.
Because it sounded really good.
Thank you. I just came up with
the try
and buy period.
Yeah.
I don't like dating, and like I've tried dating apps, and we could get more into that, but this is the most just horrific experience in my entire life.
Yeah, they're not like.
We'll get there later.
We'll get there later, but so I've never done the whole try and buy period thing with a bunch of different people, but I had a girlfriend for 5 years, and I started dating her in 2016.
Okay, so this is your college life then.
So yeah, this was the second half. So this is the second half of college.
But that wasn't your first relationship.
Was that your first serious relationship?
That was first.
This is his first big one, but I know you dated in high school and maybe even earlier.
Oh yeah. I forgot.
Those.
Well, because
I can think of at least 2 girls.
Yeah.
Who's the second one?
Rebecca.
Who's the first one?
Shannon.
Catherine.
I was thinking Catherine and Erica.
Erica and I don't count Erica because we never actually dated. It was just like a will they won't they thing for a really long time.
Did you?
No.
Okay.
They Ross and Rachel during high school.
It was exhausting.
Yeah.
It was exhausting, and it's not. It was both of our faults. I think definitely. Mostly mine. I'm taking like 90% of the credit for it.
Why is it your fault?
Because I think a huge like roadblock for me in dating was 1, my own self-esteem, but 2, being very concerned with what certain other people thought.
What other people?
Like friends or family?
Parental figures.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't know how Mom's gonna react to this, but he was very like protective.
Sure. I feel like that's...
And that honestly was a problem in my one serious relationship for the 5 years, is she was very protective. And, like, again, we're gonna... Like, there's different perspectives of this.
Sure.
But from my perspective, it was very hindering to the relationship. And from my ex's perspective, very hindering to the relationship. She was not very welcoming or friendly, or I know you have a different perspective, but like
that's not why I'm giggling. But
why are you giggling?
Because mom's gonna watch this.
I know, but like this is part of it.
But this is an open space.
This was a really big, and that's part of the reason why in high school it was hard for me, because I never felt comfortable to be able to take that step, whether it was internally or externally.
Sure. Which is funny though, because I feel like it was you. Like, to the rest of us, you and Erica were very non-official dating. Because, we went to her house a lot compared to anybody else.
Except
for Timmy.
Yeah.
And he was your best friend and my friend.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we were at her house all the time. I remember, because she had a really small bedroom, and we would study in there. Him and her would be on the bed. Mm-hmm. Very, very romantic.
Very high school love.
Yeah. And then we ended up watching, like, Paranormal Activity, and they were laying in bed together.
Mm-hmm. It was nice. But, again, the whole time, too, I was very anxious.
And it was very third wheel.
There's always a third wheel at some point.
Yeah.
So they say.
But yeah, so that was that experience.
Of dating.
Never actually. So like, my ex is like what? Because technically, Catherine and I dated, but it was like 2 weeks, and like it was nothing.
I remember I was kind of mad at you because I liked Catherine, and I was like, you
well, okay,
stole
so
her.
let's go into that because I like Catherine,
which is
friend.
the only experience we've had of somebody as twins stealing like a potential
which I didn't
partner.
even know, but I kind of had a feeling. But let me defend myself a little bit because
Sure.
this is
Let's go into Ryan's.
This
defense.
is honestly peer pressure moment because
How did we not successfully peer pressure you into dating Erica? But we did it with Catherine? Or was she pressured into dating you?
No. Let me
Let him
Go ahead.
Yeah,
You just
yeah,
said
yeah.
peer
So
pressure.
Here's what happened.
What happened was...
Catherine in our friend group, right?
Sure.
Now.
Yeah.
And she's cool. I like Catherine. She's a great person.
She's a cool person.
Very cool person.
Okay.
She sat behind me in math class.
Uh-huh.
We would joke around a lot. Cool person. I didn't like her that way necessarily.
Sure.
Like I thought, oh, man, but it wasn't really. But Nick, her best friend that they ended up dating too for a while, a very weird group of people ultimately. Whatever. But he kept coming up to me because he was in percussion,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, "Hey, Catherine likes you," and I'm like, "That's cool.
That's
She's
nice.
cool." He's like, "You want to go out with her?" I'm like, "I don't know. She's cool." And I'm like, kept, like trying to play coy because I'm like, not really, but like I don't want to be mean, and but like I don't know, man. Like she's cool, and he just kept every day just freaking pushing me, and we were at a drumline competition, and we had gone back after we had just performed, gone back, put all our instruments away, and I was like hanging behind because I knew Nick was gonna try to do something, but then everyone starts hanging behind, like they start hanging behind too, and I think you were there. I don't remember, but we were.
Is this drumline?
Yeah, it was drumline.
Okay.
But so then we're like walking back to the stands to go watch the other like performances and for the award ceremony or whatever. And Catherine's like walking ahead and I'm like hanging back because I'm like, I'm not. And Nick literally pushes me like 2 hands from
Little
behind,
Nicky?
shoves me, and I'm like, freaking, this is a movie, man. I'm like stumbling like up to her.
Oh, no. Oh.
And I'm like, oh man, and like it was super awkward. I'm like, well, I have to do it now. Like I have to ask because like this is too uncomfortable to just be like, hey, what's up? I want to go do.
That's how they would do it in the movie.
Yeah,
You can't be direct.
Yeah, but I'm like I have to. I just have to. And so like I asked her like, do you want to go out with me? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And this was my first like experience with that. So I'm like, I don't know what you do next. Like what happens now?
What do you plan?
And it was weird because, and it was probably like because I didn't know what I was doing. It was mostly my fault. But like I felt like before that happened, we had some like really cool conversations, and we were like text a lot, and it was really cool and fun. And then after that like all stopped, and I was like, this isn't really fun. I don't like this whole dating thing. It's kind of weird. And then like I felt like whenever like we were in the band room or hanging out with band people at recess or lunch, like I had to hang out with her. And she would hang out like this side of the room, and then Timmy was over here, and I would just be standing over here, just like looking at Timmy, like, man, I wish I could be over there. And it was just like this really weird dynamic. Again, that was probably like my fault because I didn't know what I was doing or what I was supposed to do or what I was expected to do. And like I don't know how many relationships she had been in.
How did you, what year was that?
We were sophomores, I think.
Oh, okay. So the first year she was there.
Yeah, so I'm like, so that lasted like 2 weeks, and then we were both kind of like, I don't know if this is working, and then it was like, all right, and then that was done.
Yeah.
But like that was literally it for like 2 weeks. That was that, and then it was like nothing, and then it was like.
It's funny because I swear Nick and Catherine started dating not too long after that.
Yeah. So, all right. So Catherine, technically first girlfriend, didn't really matter. Erica, Ross and Rachel, on and on, like will they, won't they? Never did. But
it's a sitcom that never happened.
It was in planning stages for a long time. Like I said, I take most responsibility for that.
Sure.
I was very anxious and worried about myself and other people.
Before Daisy, did you date anybody in college?
No.
Because you got close with like Annabelle.
I liked Annabelle, yeah. She wasn't into me.
Oh.
Yeah. At least I don't think. She ended up not stopping talking to me. Wow. That seems to be how things go for me. I like someone and then they stop talking to me.
Listen, people, that's not...
But no, I think she definitely liked you a little bit at some point because she would sit and eat lunch with both of us just to be with you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, dude.
And then
I don't know, man.
there are even a couple times where we would go out to lunch off campus and he would bring her.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's not something you do for like a regular person.
That's what I thought too. And then I don't know, man. Look,
I don't know.
dating has not been
like there was this diner close to our aunt's place called Legends, and we took her there like a couple times.
Yeah.
But that was like pretty far from campus, so
yeah. Look, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. I just know that this is a recurring pattern for me, and I don't know why.
My recurring pattern in high school and college was I just had a female best friend the whole time that I had a crush on.
Sure.
But never happened.
Andrea, I knew it.
Anyways.
I know things, Josh.
Yeah.
I have intuition.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Daisy was my first like official. We dated, mostly for 5 years. There were some breaks in there.
They were on again, off again.
Sure.
It was toxic for a while, and we could get into one of your things you want to talk about is what we learned.
The do's and don'ts of relationship.
But I feel like we're really steamrolling this, Josh, and I want to give you some time to, because I feel like you probably have the most experience out of all of us.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Do you have more than me? Because
You've dated so many people. Well,
I know, but you guys have bigger stories. I'm just like,
Are you sure?
I have stories.
Well,
I just wanted to give you guys, because I haven't heard that extents to your guys' dating life. Not yours, at least.
He hasn't heard yours.
Yeah.
But
do you want me to tell the stories, or do you want to tell my stories?
No,
I want you to tell your stories. I was just gonna say, but you do have a lot of experience. Had two,
I'm joking around.
You've had two semi-long.
What's the longest?
This one.
Okay. I beat you both.
This is two semi-long relationships and a lot of like 3 to 4 month relationships.
Sure. Okay, so when I first started dating.
When did you start? Because I guess I started in high school.
I also started in high school, and for me, the first time that I've ever found interest in a person in general was this one girl. Her name was Jahida. She was a bitch. But she was just this one.
What's a name like Jahida?
You weren't ready for that. No. Because for me personally, I like someone who's very confident and very like in charge of their life. You know, they know what they want to do, and they're very much like taking steps into that, and I find that very attractive.
Do you think I fit into that?
And so when I was in high school, I was dating. I wasn't dating anyone. I was. You interrupt me all the goddamn time.
Let him talk.
Let me talk. He's so rude. But I would talk to her every now and then, and she was just so like confident in what she was saying, and I found that very attractive. So one day I was like, "Hey, Jahida." I was very nervous as a kid. I was like, "You wanna like go on a date?" And she's like, "Can I come back to you with an answer?" And me being in high school, I'm like, sure, why not? And I was also thinking to myself, I took the courage to ask her out, by all means, she can have some time to think about that statement. I just spun that out on her. She didn't come back to me for like a week about that answer. And then eventually, this is when I had Facebook, I messaged her on Facebook saying, "So Jahida, it's been like a week."
Yeah, it's been 1 week since you looked.
Yeah, and I'm just like, so.
Cooked my head inside and said I'm sorry.
Do you have any like answer to my question that I asked you? It's like, do you want to know my real answer? And in all caps, she says, "No," 12 exclamation points.
She's mean.
She was a bitch. And here's the top part that made me instantly like be over her immediately in that same message. Yeah. She's like, "And if you ever ask me that question again, we're not gonna be friends anymore." It's like, we can only have to be friends right now. I'm fine with that.
Just be like, "Hey, do you want to go out with me?"
Yeah, right.
Just like, all right, let's
just immediately. And so that
you suck, Jahida.
It was just rude, and I don't know what she was going through. She seemed to be.
Well, it's like, why couldn't she have just said no the first time instead of like dragging it out and then being mean about it for no reason?
Yeah, and
maybe she was just hoping if she never came back to him that he would drop it.
Or maybe she did genuinely want to think about it, and then she just thought about it, and then she just decided to say it like that or whatever. I don't know. I don't know her life story. I just know my point of view and how that made me instantly just go, okay, I'm over her then. Yeah. And she was just being rude for no reason. just say no. That's fine.
Yeah.
No is fine.
Yeah.
But
for those of you out there, you have an opinion and it matters.
It does.
And you're allowed to say no to what you want to say no to, and that's valid.
But don't threaten with like, if you ever ask me this question again, we're not gonna be friends anymore. Because honestly, that's not nice.
Yeah.
I mean, you're basically saying I don't value your friendship anymore.
Well, stand up for yourself, because I'm talking to girls mostly. Guys can be dicks.
Yeah, they can.
And, you put them in their place, but, like, you can say no. You don't have to if you don't want to.
But also, if a person just asks you a question, they're not being a dick about it.
No,
yeah, exactly.
Don't be a dick in return.
In every situation,
no, I know.
But I'm saying, like,
I just wanted to
guys suck.
Say that part.
Sometimes. And girls
Men
do too,
suck.
But.
Men suck, dude. They do. But yeah. And then my first actual relationship that I ever had was in high school, and it was I had known this guy from middle school, and then we went to different high schools, and his name was Daniel, and we like reconnected in high school. I forget why. I think I was going to someone's graduation, high school graduation, and we had just seen each other, and we just like talked for a little bit. And it's like, oh, cool, and then we added each other on Facebook, and then we just started talking, and then it turns out, oh, he's gay. And I'm like, oh, I'm also interested in men. And so we started talking, and eventually we became a couple. And I was like, all right, cool. This is my first real relationship, I guess, because we're a couple now. I remember that first time, too, how my heart was, like, racing over the sensation. I'm just like, oh, my God, this is the thing. Go on.
Did you have to learn how to be in a relationship?
Yeah.
Because I very much had a steep learning curve how to be in a relationship.
I feel like in high school you learn about the idea that you're with a person for a certain amount of time a day. And high school dating is very much like you hang out for a certain amount of time, you possibly kiss and stuff like that. And that's the extent to a high school relationship, and it doesn't go much further than that. Yeah. You get to the idea of being around a person that you have more than just a friendship with, which was what it was. And that relationship didn't last long. It just figgled out after a little bit. Then I had a little hoe phase where I was like, not necessarily dating people, but I was going around seeing what I can not necessarily conquer, because that seems a very like strong word, but I guess that would be the word I'm using here. But I would go around and see who would be interested, and this was mostly came about from another relationship after Daniel, where I dated this girl, and she was like, after she broke up with me, like on the day that we were supposed to go to like prom or whatever.
Oh.
I know, what a move.
Yeah.
And she said to me, it's like, you're just such a robot. You don't have like emotions coming out. Like, that's me.
Yeah.
And so I went full throttle in the other direction, and I got very like good at reading people, and that became a whole thing. That was interesting. And then I would say I dated around a lot, and then dating apps became a thing.
I hate dating apps.
I hate dating apps too.
I know people use them. I know they're successful to some people. I don't think I've ever had a good experience on dating apps.
Dating apps are weird.
Especially as like, from my experience as a straight guy looking at women, there's a lot of just profiles for people trying to sell their like OnlyFans and like premium Snapchats and stuff. There's a lot of sex workers on dating apps, and it's exhausting.
It is. Which, you do your own thing, but like,
yeah,
you're not looking for that.
There's no criticism behind that. Like, you do what you do. If you're making money, you make your money. We respect that, but like it's.
Was that your experience? Because you tried multiple apps, right?
It's all of them
that
I've tried.
It's they're terrible. Like, because you're speaking from like the straight perspective and the gay perspective, it's not that much better. I'm assuming you've had the same experience where, if you match with someone, you would like message them and then they would not respond.
Oh yeah,
so, like a lot of ghosting going on.
Yeah,
which is the culture, I guess.
Would you message people?
Yeah,
first?
Generally you have, because that's another thing. So many women are just like, I'm not gonna message first, and I'm like what? Just be a person, man. Like there's like this whole atmosphere, and I'm not painting with a broad brush. I'm not saying this is how women are. Like, there's a lot of different people out there, but my experience on dating apps is a lot of just like it's a lot of like the self-centeredness of like you need to do everything for me. Like I want to be pampered. I want to be this. I want to like do all this. You message me first. You have to do all this, and it's like
there's that expectation.
It's that whole expectation. I'm like, why? Like, and I'm sure that there are people on these apps that are coming from a more genuine place, and like it works for people. Like like Daisy met her current partner on a dating app. They're happy and great. Like I know that there's a lot of experiences that people work.
I mean, we met on a dating app. Gene and Ashley met on a dating app.
Yeah, so like it works, but like it's sifting through all of that I'm just like, I hate this. Like it's one of the things that I've tried that I've genuinely felt like this is a waste of like I would rather stare at a wall and feel like that's a better use of my time than navigating this cesspool of just garbage.
Yeah, and that's what dating apps are.
Maybe I just don't have the patience for it.
Maybe not, because at some point you kind of learn like how to go about making conversations in dating apps. At least that's what
Speaking of conversations on dating apps, my biggest peeve of people on dating apps is people who don't know how to have a conversation.
Yeah, I've gotten that too, where like you do message someone and they're just like, hey.
So
it's like asking questions and
how's your day? Good.
Just like nothing in back. I'm like, why are we doing this?
See, if I started a conversation, it was usually like, hey, or like, hey, how you doing? I think I just messaged you, hey.
Probably. I don't remember.
But I would start it off because I'm like, okay, if you're interested, you would say hi, and then we can go from there. I know people say they hate small talk, they just want to get into real talk. I feel like small talk, at least on like a dating app, you use it as a vessel to get into the real stuff.
Sure.
Like you're like, oh hey, how you doing? Like what you up to? And maybe they're like, oh, I'm watching TV. Oh, what TV shows are you interested in? Are we interested in the same things?
Like, oh, I'm watching The Nanny.
Or maybe they're like, oh, I'm hanging out with my family. So you can be like, oh, what's your family like? Like, how many siblings do you have? Like, you use it to get to like the bigger topics that are more important.
Sure.
But a lot of people, the number one thing people don't do is reciprocate the question. Yeah. You'll be like, how are you doing? Great.
Yeah. And then to me, I'm like, why did you swipe right anyway?
Some people like the idea of like getting numbers of like, oh, this is how many people find me attractive. They swipe
because right you can also
it's true. It's very superficial.
You can also download your Tinder. I know it's on Tinder. I don't know about the other, but like information where it tells you like how many people you swiped on, how many matches you got, how many, and then you can add how many relationships you got, or how many dates you got, how many relationships, how many marriages, or whatever, and people will put their statistics, and, to some people, they just want to play the numbers game, or they think, some people swipe right on everybody, and
Where were we? It was one of our trips. Oh, it was in Florida, when we were in Epcot. When we were in the line, did you see that guy? When we were in the line for Guardians of the Galaxy, there's a dude on Tinder just like just swiping right, literally like this. Like,
any
for those
person,
of you, just like
any person in the
just
Disney
as fast
area.
as humanly possible, just swiping right on every profile that came up.
That's funny.
And I'm like, why?
Because
what do you get
one
from
of them
this?
is going to be a match.
Because they only want to think about the people who are interested in them. Or some guys, I mean, they don't really care. Guys don't look at... So, supposedly, statistically, guys look at profiles a lot less than girls do. So if the girls are putting the effort reading your profile and everything, and then they swipe right on you, and you're just swiping right on everybody, the only girls you're going to match with are the people that are interested in you, and then you filter through there.
But for me, I'm like, yeah, I see the picture first, and then in my brain, I'm like, yes or no. And if it's yes, then I scroll down.
Yeah, it's like a flow chart.
Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, well, what's this person's personality like?
Yeah,
like, is there more reason than they're pretty to swipe right?
Yeah.
Although sometimes somebody's so pretty that you don't care what's in the
bio. You're just like, well,
that's true.
They're not going to respond.
but that's what dating apps are, because like at that point, like I said, like dating apps become like a way of like conversating with people in a specific way. Because like my go-to whenever I was on Tinder is I would always be the first one to respond, because no one ever goddamn responds first. Nope. So you would, except for you. But my go-to question that I would always ask is like, hey, how's it going? So what's your opinion on the live action Cat in the Hat? And honestly, about 7 out of 10 times someone will respond to that question.
Oh, that's funny.
It was a very good question for people to like ask.
Like a good question.
Ask. It was very funny.
I told him if he asked me that, I don't know how I would have responded.
But you didn't?
But I messaged first.
He messaged first. So I didn't get asked.
I beat him to it.
Yeah.
So.
Because I was slipping.
Well, yeah, because a lot of times I would do Tinder like at night, and I swear I played that like a video game.
Yeah.
Like I was just going through all the people, and it was just like my new pastime.
Yeah.
I just don't like it because it makes me feel kind of icky too, because I feel like I get into this mindset of just like judging superficiality.
Sure.
And it doesn't make me feel good as a person.
No.
After a while.
I don't know about you, but because I mean I would read their profile. I would also see like, oh, what music are these people interested in? And a lot of people like SZA.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I've never heard of this person, so I listened to some of their music, and I was like, not my favorite, but it is like me.
She has some cool songs.
Yeah, I just picked whatever on Spotify, and then but a lot of people also link their Instagram, so it would like. Mm-hmm. You know, some people to follow, maybe connect with that way.
I feel like at least...
Or just, like, try to get more of a perspective of who they are through their social media.
In the straight community, for girls, it's mostly just the women who have the public profiles, and it's all bikini pics.
Or like a big group picture where you're like, which one is you?
Yeah.
Which one is
like,
the girl?
This is exhausting.
It is.
Because it's all superficial, and I'm like...
It's superficial.
You get sucked in, and I'm like, I just don't like feeling like this. It makes me feel grody.
It is superficial, but it has to be, because that's how it works out to be.
I know, and that's why I don't like it. It makes
and that's
me feel
fair.
grody.
And that's fair.
And it's exhausting.
I would say, though, from dating apps, I would say I've gone on... So, the first time I ever went on dating apps, I was 22, maybe?
Alright.
Something like that. I was like swiping right on the people that I liked and whatever, and there was 2 people that I swiped right on, and I started having conversations with. One of them, I don't remember his name, but I was talking to him, and he was super nice, and he was like the first person that I ever swiped right on, and it was just like a very like new experience. Like, what the fuck is going on? I remember like texting back and forth with him. He was just a real nice dude and whatever. And then he just asked me, he's like, oh, do you want to have like a phone conversation? And my heart was racing.
Oh yeah, one That's guy, scary. I didn't end up going on a date with him, but he's like, oh, what's your Snapchat? And so I gave him my Snapchat, and then we were talking on there. Because a lot of people do not like messaging on like the Tinder app
It's kind of wonky.
Yeah. And a lot of times it won't give you like a notification that you got a message.
Yeah. Also, you can't send pictures.
But he like video called me, and it was like 12 o'clock at night. Everybody in the house is sleeping. I was in the guest room bathroom, which is on the way other end, and I was just like hiding in there. I'm like, hi.
Hi.
And my heart was like racing, because I'm like, people are gonna hear me talking to like a dude.
Yeah. But I remember going on that first like call conversation with that guy, and first of all, the very first thing, you know, when you see a photo of someone and you kind of have an idea of how their voice will sound like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this guy voice did not match how I thought his voice was gonna sound like. It wasn't bad. It just didn't match, and I just was like, oh, this is different.
Yeah.
And I was nervous to the point where I was stuttering with my words, which I tend to do a lot, but I do that more when I'm nervous. And it's like, oh, you're stuttering a lot. It's like, don't make note of it. Don't make note of that. It's just gonna make it worse. And we talked for a little bit, and eventually we planned out a date to go on. So we went on a date, and we just it was nice. We went to a Thai restaurant that I had picked out, and on the drive there, as I was parking, I accidentally tapped the car next to me.
Oh, nice.
The people were inside.
Oh,
the car. So I parked, and as I parked, I like went up to the window. And was like, "Hey, I think I might have tapped you," and he's like, "Yeah, don't worry about it, man. It's not that big a deal." It's like, "Okay, cool. Sorry about that. I'm actually going on like my very first date, and I'm very nervous about it." It's like, "Go, man, go. You got this. You're good. You got this." Cool. It's super supportive. I remember that guy so vividly. I was like, oh, what a bro. What a bro. He was with his girlfriend. I'm assuming his girlfriend. He's like, "You got this." I'm like, "Thank you."
I do got this.
You go like Coco.
Yeah. It was just a very nice human moment. I was like, "Oh, thank God."
That's cool.
I don't have to worry about this bump, and these people are supporting me.
Yeah.
These randos. But
they were like there when you got back.
Yeah, right. It's like,
How'd it go?
Yeah.
We're invested now.
But we went on a date and we went to eat and then we went to the beach to walk and
Nice.
it was just nice. And one thing I do like about dating is when you actually get to know someone, the conversations. I like a good conversation. I like someone who can tell me like their life stories because it's just so interesting.
I concur.
And at the end of that date, he like put his arms around me in like in a romantic way, like underneath, because he was shorter than me. So he was like underneath and he was just like holding me like that. And I was like, and my mind couldn't process it. And then I guess he thought that I wasn't into it, so he kind of pulled away from that. I only know this later on because he told me that. And he's like, yeah, I tried to put my moves on you, and like you just didn't respect. He's like, oh no, I'm just a nervous wreck. Like that's not on you.
I was being awkward penguin.
Yeah, that's not on you. That's on me. I'm awkward as shit.
Same.
Yeah.
And I remember he was telling me like how he was talking to other people on dating apps too, while still talking to me. And that was the first time where I realized like, yeah, we're not exclusive.
Yeah.
Like we're literally just dating.
I always thought it was weird though if I went on dates with people and was talking to somebody else.
Sure, I thought that too, but at the same time, it's like that's.
But that's
I don't own this person, you know.
No, I know, because
that was kind of like my glass breaking moment. It's like, oh, you're right. Like we're not exclusive. We're not just dating each other right now. Like obviously he's on dating apps. He's clearly looking for someone too. So
I feel like that might be another reason why I don't like dating apps. Is I feel like when I like someone, like I like that person.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to worry about anyone else. It's like I want to invest in this person.
Mm-hmm.
And then so that's not how dating works. And so it's very jarring to me because I'm like,
yeah, because I would do that too. Is I would like focus on one person.
Yeah.
And then everything else would kind of like fade.
Yeah.
But then if that doesn't work out, you're like, oh, now I have to go.
Yeah, but
I dropped all my other leads for this.
but when he said that, it made me realize like, oh, I should probably still look around. So I started swiping more people, and then I would find the person who would be my first long-term relationship, and like Chris, and
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
There's
you?
my tum-tum.
We have been at this for a long time.
It's okay. It's a good conversation.
It's almost lunchtime.
Yeah, it is lunchtime.
Past lunchtime.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But we would like talk, and like I had a great time talking to Chris because like we connected on more stuff. And then I remember messaging back with the other guy, and he's like, "Oh, so how are things with you?" He's like, "Oh, I actually went on a date with another guy." He's like, "Oh, that's nice." And then he would message me, he's like, "I don't know why I'm so jealous about that statement." It's like, I mean, if you're dating other people, like I can date other people too.
It just gets messy.
No, this was the conversation I had with him because he was like, it's like, oh, so like, are you thinking about like going on a date with him? It's like, yeah, probably. And he's like, oh, what do you mean? Like, probably. He's like, listen, man, I'm gonna be 100% with you. Like, this is my first time experiencing all this, like having multiple people like being into me, and that in itself is a very like nervous thought for me. So I am giving you the best answer that I can get with my nervousness in mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, I cannot tell you a direct answer because I feel like I should be committed to one person, but clearly that's not the case.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you're right, and I'm sorry if I made you feel pressure. It's like, no, I just want you to understand my thought process behind it.
This is a good case study in communication. Just be honest. Be honest, people. Just be honest.
And you know, I told him, it's like, honestly, like on the date that I went with him, like I felt a really good connection, and I'm most likely gonna talk to him some more and say, oh yeah, you do you, man. And we went on like one more date with the other guy, and then I went on a date with Chris, and I just know that I wanted to talk more to Chris than him. And I was like, all right. And he was like, good on you, man. Like, good luck with you. I was like, thanks. Good luck with you, too. And then we go in our separate ways.
I feel like, because you always know that other people are talking to other people, but if you ever bring it up, like, most people treat it very taboo, like, oh, you're talking to other people, because some people, I'd be like, oh, so, like, how's it going with other, like, are you getting a lot of matches or whatever, and they'd be like, I don't want to talk about that. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It's weird.
Then I had my first long, serious relationship, which I learned a lot.
Oh, I learned a lot, too.
God. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to continue forward with this? Because it has been an hour.
I mean, are we going to cut the whole band conversation?
You're getting hungry.
I mean, but I want to keep going if we got more to talk about.
I really want to get to do's and don'ts.
Then let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doing it right now.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we're all.
I can make it shorter if it gets way too long. We can cut out the whole Nick and Catherine stuff because honestly that's not relevant.
It could be its own thing.
Okay. But, like, through my first relationship, and, you know, you'll speak on more your guys' experiences with your first relationships, do's and don'ts. And, but I realized the very big thing that I love in relationship is communication.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's important with any relationship, you know. If you don't have good communication, things just fall apart, things fester up, and then they explode at certain points. Yeah. And I'm not to say that I'm the perfect person with communicating, because I also have trouble communicating sometimes, because I'm not ready to make those statements. And, you know, eventually I feel like I will bring that up. And if I don't, you know, that's more on me. Like, trying to figure out how to bring that up into conversation. But with my first relationship, that was the biggest issue, because I would try to have a serious conversation with him about something that was bothering me, and he would not communicate to the point where he would not say anything at all.
I had similar situation with my ex when, like, I would know when something was wrong. I would know because she would act way differently. Mm-hmm. She would be more distant. You know, the hugs get more side huggy. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I know something's wrong. And I would try to talk. And I'm not saying that I was great all the time either. But, like, when I knew something was bothering her, I would try to talk to her about it. And she would just say, no, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're not. I know you're not. Like, just tell me. Let's talk about this. Mm-hmm. And she wouldn't. She wouldn't want to. And I think it was a similar thing of, like, not being ready to or whatever. Like, she knows that there's a big conversation. She doesn't want to have it or whatever.
Which is fine. I just wish that there was a way. And I know it's hard. I'm not saying, like, this is something that, like, everyone can just do automatically. But I wish there would be a way to communicate. It's like, hey, yes, there is something bothering me. I'm just not ready to talk about it.
I feel like that's fine. Like,
which is
just
fair
say that,
statement.
But she would always say, no, I'm fine, no, I'm fine, no, I'm fine.
That's
and I'm like, no, you're not. Like, I know you're not. And now you're just lying to me consistently. And that would go on for days to weeks. And then she'd just drop a bombshell. And then everything goes wild.
I mean...
And I'm like, why? I knew this. Like, just talk to me.
I've done that to him a couple times where it's like, something will throw me off for a week. But I'm like, I don't know how to bring it up. Mm-hmm. So he'll just be like, are you okay? And I'm like, I mean, I tell you that I'm not feeling the greatest. I don't lie and be like, everything's peachy.
No. But there's more to it. But then
sometimes I'll drop the bomb.
Yeah.
That's happened like twice. But.
Yeah. It's like, that would really irritate me too. And like, again, like, well, some things that I learned in relationships, like how to communicate, I think is something that it took me a long time to learn. Mm-hmm. Also, but like also just how to be in a relationship, like what is expected in a relationship, because it's not just a friendship. It's not just hanging out. It's like this person is more than that, and like needs to be treated more than that, and respected more than that. Mm-hmm. And it was this very weird thing that I just like. Especially in the beginning, I'm just like, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know how to do that or what that even looks like. So I had to be taught very much so how to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
It's very different. I think, you know, whenever the next one comes around, I definitely think that I've learned a lot.
Ladies, he's open.
I definitely think I've learned a lot. Just over the last few years and over the course of that relationship, and even in between and stuff that's happened, I've learned a lot. And I think I would be a much better partner now, because I definitely wasn't a lot of the time.
Sure, and that's just part of the
and that's part of it. But yeah, I think communication is definitely a big one. Respect, I think, is a big one.
Respect's a big one too. Yeah.
Like and understanding too that like there are ebbs and flows, and not every day is going to be paradise, and you're not going to agree on everything, but you just communicate. And you respect each other, and you figure it out. Yeah. You know, or you figure, you know what, this isn't working out.
And that's fine.
And that can be hard.
It can be hard.
It's hard.
But
I would say one of the biggest lessons I learned, at least for me though, and this is why Daisy and I ultimately went our separate ways in terms of relationships. Like, we're still friends, and she's one of my best friends.
Which is great.
Probably. I adore her so much. but we learned that like love isn't enough.
Yeah, like people say that a lot, but
just like you could have as much love for someone, but if it's just not jiving, if you're not in the same place, if you're not going the same direction in life, if there's just too much conflict, like love is not enough, and it shouldn't be enough.
It shouldn't.
Like you need it. That's important. But like that can't be, oh, I'm gonna stay with this person because I love them. It's like, but like I have a friend who he's married, and he's been with this girl for like 13 years. But like that's all it is he's like, well, I love her, and I'm like, yeah, but like she doesn't respect anything you do. She doesn't let you talk about the things you want to talk about. She still doesn't freaking have a job 2 years later, and he's been dealing with all this shit. I'm not gonna get into it, it's stuff, but it's just like it frustrates me because I'm like, dude, you deserve better.
Is it the guy that moved?
Yeah, I'm like, you deserve so much better, and like, yeah, you love her and that's great, but that's not enough, dude.
Yeah.
You need a partner.
You need someone to.
You need a co-pilot.
You do need a co-pilot. You need someone to be in it with you, not just.
You need a team player.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not that.
And they need to be with you even when things aren't so great. Like
especially
you have to
when
be
things aren't
unified.
Things aren't great. Yeah.
You gotta be in it, or then why are we doing this?
Yeah. Which I feel like is another thing to use, like, any relationship, every new one that you have, you're trying to learn how to communicate with a person because each person is different.
Yeah.
There are certain things that you learn too that they are not the greatest at, and in any relationship you find the balance of it. I was like, okay, you're not great at that, so I'll carry up more of the work for this specific
Yeah, compromise I think is important too.
Yeah, but compromise and then just doing something for the sake of just trying to keep
compromising and then just giving up are two different things. And there's two different ways to give up, right? You can give up the relationship, or you can give up compromising and just being like, it is what it is, I'm just gonna deal with it. And it's like, but are you happy? Are you happy? That's question number one.
Both people should be happy.
You should be happy, otherwise what
like that saying, happy wife, happy life. No, the guy should be happy too.
Everyone should be happy. Otherwise, and that goes with jobs, that goes with careers, that goes with relationships. Mm-hmm. That's one of the biggest things I've learned in life. If you're not happy, you're doing it wrong. Do what makes you happy.
It's not worth all the stress if you're not going to be happy.
Yeah.
And it takes work, because obviously you're not going to have a happy relationship all the time, like you said.
Yeah, it ebbs and flows.
Well, you have to work for the happiness.
You do have to work for the happiness.
Even if you meet someone and it's just like perfect, you're just like, we jive.
Honeymoon phase.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's always temporary. But like, because there's some people you meet and you're just like, this person gets me. I jive with this person. This just makes sense. That's still not an end-all be-all. You still got to work at it. Mm-hmm. You still got to put the effort in. You still got to put the work into it to keep it that way. And it's going to ebb and it's going to flow, and some days are going to be better than others, and that's okay. But it's just communication, it's respect, it's understanding,
and it's compromising.
And it's effort.
And compromising.
Yeah, put in the work. Nothing is just easy forever.
No.
As perfect as it may be.
If only, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah. Also, after the first relationship, I dated a bunch of people, and I learned a lot of stuff too that I don't want to deal with when dating or being with someone. There was one person who was a terrible interrupter. The worst interrupter. Like, I'd be in the middle of a conversation.
It's not me, it's worse.
It was worse than you. You're not the greatest at it. And I tell you this a lot. But this person, he would be talking for like 10 minutes or whatever, and I just like to listen to people talk. Yeah. Like, I don't need to be speaking. But then I would try to bring something up and then kind of change the topic into something and then as the middle of my conversation, you just like cut me off and just start talking about another different topic altogether. And it happens so consistently. And I'm just like, stop. No. I am trying to converse, and I was trying to tell him this, and he cut me off. And I'm like, this is exactly the problem. Like,
I'm done.
Like, I'm not gonna deal with this.
What part of communication
is listening? Who would have thought?
Important part.
But yeah, that was not a great one. And then I just had other people who would just get mad at me for every little thing.
Yeah.
Which is not a fun time altogether.
No.
It's like, I don't like the way you said the sentence. I just said hi.
Yeah, well, you should have said hey.
Yeah, that's honestly how it felt like. I was like, that's not...
You don't need judgmental. If your
I don't want to walk on
judging
eggshells
you all the time. Exactly. You don't want to be anxious all the time. You don't want to be stressed all the time. You know, that's not a healthy relationship.
It's not. It's toxic.
It is toxic. Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Or any other things that you've learned in your relationships? What not to do? What shouldn't you do, Ryan? What have you done that you're like, maybe should have not done that?
Definitely, it helped me, like, how do I want to phrase this? Like, kind of control my emotions in a way and be more aware of how I react to things sometimes.
Sure.
Because, like, we have a little anger streak in our family. I think all of us do, for sure. Mm-hmm. And there have been times when it's been worse, where it just, like, comes out of you and, like, get mad about something. And I realize that's not okay. And, like, that's just because that's normal in some
situations. Have you done that to Daisy?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There was one time in particular, not my proudest moment. I'm going to tell this story because I'm...
Have I yelled at you?
Me?
Yeah.
This was way worse in the early stages. But again,
no, I feel like you would only yell at me if I started yelling at you.
Yeah.
Because it's a reactive
him.
Yeah. I was not very good in the beginning. There was one time, I'm going to tell this story. It's not a good look for me.
Go ahead, but you learned from this experience. But this
is what I learned from.
Yeah.
This is something I learned. Is like, just because things are normalized doesn't mean that it's okay. Mm-hmm. Right? And so she went to community college first, and then she went to UC Riverside. Mm-hmm. And over that summer, before she went to UC Riverside, I went with her and a couple of our friends to go, like, check out the campus, and she, turn in some paperwork or whatever and stuff like that. So we went over there, which is like an hour and a half from here drive. Mm-hmm. So I was driving over there, right? And when we were going over there, one of our friends was sitting shotgun, and he was, like, helping me navigate. Because this was before, like, I had, like, a stand for my phone. This was before, like, phone GPS, at least for me, was super common. So, like, I didn't know where I was going, and it's like, oh, the shotgun navigates. And, like, that was just something in my head that's something I learned, too, that you just figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
Like, having someone else help you navigate is never going to end well. Ever. It's never going to end well.
Brian also has a history of getting very frustrated when he's driving and either doesn't know where he's going or misses a turn or something.
It's all stress-induced and
it triggers his anxiety to the max.
Yeah. It's gotten so much better, but that was definitely part of this and where I learned it. So when we were going there, fine, right? When we're coming back, she was in the shotgun seat, and I was asking her, like, where do I have to go? And we ended up going, like, this really weird way back that I've never gone since. Mm-hmm. And having to get off the freeway because one of our friends had to go to the bathroom, and, like, we were just in this, like, really weird neighborhood. I had no idea where we are, and I'm asking her for help to help me figure out how to get back to the freeway. And she's on Instagram. And I'm driving, and I can't pull over anywhere because the way these streets are, they're all, like, there's nowhere to pull over. And so I'm asking her, help me now, like, where do I go? How do I get on the free? And she just was, like, not helpful at all. She was just, like, she's just literally just on Instagram. And I like...
Not your proudest moment.
This is bad. This is not okay.
Yeah.
I had my phone in a cup holder, and I threw it past her.
Ooh.
Did not hit her. Did not throw it at her. I threw it past her.
Uh-huh.
But not good. I'm not defending myself.
No.
I'm just clarifying.
Yeah.
There's no injuries. I've never hurt anybody. But again, this is bad. This is not good. And I yelled at her. I'm like, you need to help me. You need to tell me where to go. I don't know where to go. And
I can hear the exact voice that you use.
Yeah, it's not good. I haven't used that voice in a long time, and I'm very happy. Proud of my personal growth, people. Yeah. But again, look, this was years ago.
No,
this was
listen,
like 2017-ish. Like, this was a long time ago.
Listen, man, we all have
so
those
not
experiences.
a good moment. And then, and she was like, that's not okay. She's like, you cannot talk to me like that.
And your friend was in the car.
2 friends were in the car.
Right.
Yeah. Again, it was not a good moment for me. Not at all. But I learned from that. And I'm like, that's not okay.
No, it wasn't.
And I'm like, how do I not do that? One, I need to understand that she's never going to be a good navigator. That's just going to be... Because it wasn't like it was just that wasn't like that was the first situation where she just didn't help me navigate. It was just like that. She just didn't want to. And I'm like, and that's okay. I don't have a right to be upset about her about that. Like, that's not fair to me. I have a phone. I can put it in my own GPS and figure it out. And that's what I've done since then, and it's gone much better in my life. But also, too, it's not okay to do that to people. It's not okay to yell at people. Like, it doesn't matter if you're stressed out. It doesn't matter. Like, that's not an okay to react. It's not okay to throw things at people.
Yeah.
Like, all of that, I'm like, that's all bad behavior. I've not had that happen since then. It was a very learning moment for me. But I'm like, that's not okay to be like that.
I don't want to, like, dogpile on. But
what did you do?
No, no, it's about him. And,
yeah, obviously. He said dogpile. This is all about...
I know.
No, but I don't know if you remember, but we picked up Daisy from her house once. And we were going to Bob's Big Boy.
Maybe.
And she was telling you how to get there.
I don't remember this, but I'm sure it's not good.
And you were driving there, and I was in the back seat. She was in the passenger seat. And she was telling you how to get there, and like she's like, "Oh, you should have turned on that street," and you got so angry.
Yeah, well, because
you didn't know where you were going. There was a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, he speaks to her this way." Like,
yeah. Well, because and again, like that was way back when, and that was the thing is like driving used to make me so stressed out. I hate driving.
Do you think it's because of the accident?
No, it was because even before, it was just like...
Oh, yeah, because in high school.
Don't even start, because that's a whole thing, and you need to knock it off, because I got shit for you, too. But
he's got dirt on you, too.
But I just... traffic makes me anxious. Mm-hmm. Driving makes me anxious. Being in places I don't know makes me anxious. Not knowing how to get where I'm going makes me anxious. And all of that, I've gotten so much better now. Like, my anxiety level's a lot down. Driving's fine. I go places all the time. It hasn't been a problem for a while. But, yeah, definitely, like, high school to, like, 2018, 2019, for sure. Definitely not a good driving time for Ryan. It would make me... And that... Because that's what would happen, too, when we would drive, is she would tell me, you should turn... as I'm in the intersection where I should have been turning.
She's like that really bad GPS that's like, turn now.
Yeah, 100%. And like it would be, and so from my perspective, I'm not defending it because again, not appropriate for me to be upset by that.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I mean, you can be upset, but you're not allowed to like lash out.
No, absolutely.
You're allowed to feel your emotions, but don't use those against somebody else.
Yes, 100%. I condone that. But what would make me upset is, to me, it's such an easy thing to do to just look at the thing and be like, oh, at the next light, turn right or whatever. Like, it's like, that's easy. You could just do that. And she just wouldn't do that ever. And I'd be like, why can't you just tell me where to go? Why is this so hard? Why does this have to be, why? And so, like, that would, like, pile onto anxiety because I'm like, this shouldn't even be a problem. Like, just say turn right here. And, like, she knows where she's going because she's lived there. So it's like, you know how to get there. Just tell me how to get there.
Or drive.
But, like, she wouldn't want to. And, like, again, and, like, that's okay. Like, that's just something that she just doesn't like to do for whatever reason. And that's fair. I could be upset about that to an extent. But, like, lashing out at it and yelling at her is not okay.
That's not okay.
But yeah, so that was a whole thing that was very much
I just remember because you shocked me a lot when you did that. I was like, oh my god, it's happening.
I don't like that version of myself.
Because you're not the only one in this family who's done that. But
well, like I said, everyone in this family has that. You have that too.
I do.
Yeah.
I've just never
not to him. No.
Because I'm driving most of the time.
That's
mine's not only focused on cars.
Yeah. That I will say that's probably the only time I ever yelled at Daisy was in stressful driving situations that I can remember. She might fact check that, but she doesn't watch these anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Why not?
She's busy getting her.
She is honestly really busy. PhD.
PhD.
That's what I told you.
PhD.
I know.
PhD. It's not a PhD. It's a PsyD. It's a doctorate in psychology instead of a doctorate in philosophy.
Yeah. Oh.
PsyDs. So in psychology, PsyDs are more for like clinical stuff, and PhDs are more for like theoretical stuff. Yeah.
Gotcha.
She's doing clinical, but yeah. So she's busy.
Yeah.
She's supportive though. She's great.
She's a busy woman.
Yeah.
I respect. I've met her probably like 2-3 times. Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Super nice woman.
Yeah, she's great. I love her.
Yeah. But yeah, what are some do's and
Yeah.
what are the don'ts for you? Because you only have me as a reference, and then the dates that you've been on.
Yeah, I mean, that's hard, because, I mean, it's not like I've had a relationship that ended, and then I was like, oh, here's what I've learned from that, or whatever.
No, but I would say that even in our current relationship, there are some don'ts that you probably shouldn't be doing with each other.
You probably shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, don't you be doing.
I mean, you can say what those. I mean, one of my don'ts is kind of like because I feel like I do this a little bit, but I see it a lot more in other people. Is like, don't put expectations on people, like, because you know how we kind of create versions of people in our own head, and then we kind of get upset when they don't live up to those expectations.
Yeah.
And I feel like people do that a lot, especially when you're like first dating, is like you kind of create this picture based on the limited knowledge you have of them, and that they don't live up to that picture that you're like, oh, they're amazing or whatever. Then you just get frustrated.
Yeah.
So don't do that. Just take whatever they say at face value, and
Which is hard for a lot of people.
Build your reality based on that, but don't add details, because it's never gonna help you.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then I guess my other don't is just don't be afraid. Like, this person's supposed to be your partner. You should be able to go to them with anything.
And, I agree with that.
To an extent, yeah.
Well, I mean, you should
Not
be able
everything, but like to an extent, yeah.
You should be able to talk to them about anything.
Sure.
Because they're, hopefully in it for the long run. And
if this is a long run centric situation, yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know anything about dating for short term.
Yeah,
so
that's not my jam. But I also want to say, because I think this is related to dating, is it's okay to be alone, and I think that's something that I learned too, and that I know Daisy learned too. That we both have had to learn is that like. It both within a relationship and if that relationship ends, because I know for both of us, part of like the ups and downs in the middle there was like neither of us wanted to be alone. So even though we weren't treating each other well, because I wasn't the only problem in that relationship. I had my problems, but we both had problems. But part of the reason why we would keep coming back is like we didn't want to be alone.
Yeah, it was better.
And that's hard to be alone. But I think. In order to have like the healthiest relationship you can have, you need to learn to be okay by yourself too. Both within a relationship and understanding that like if I want to go do a thing, I can do that and my partner doesn't have to be there. Like I could do things on my, and I think you should. I think you should have things that you do on your own.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to be with your partner 24/7. I think everybody needs alone time. I mean, whether it's to recharge, whether you want to go do something that your partner doesn't necessarily want to do, whatever it is, you need to be okay being by yourself. Because I think some of the worst thoughts we can have as humans is when we're lonely.
Sure.
In any capacity.
I will say, I think that's definitely one of the things I've learned too, is that you have to be okay being by yourself, even in a relationship.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I do things without you. You do things without me. Sometimes I don't, I mean, especially early on, I was like, but you're supposed to be spending time with me. But,
it was like that.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It still is a little bit.
Well, so, what happened a few times is we would have plans to do something together. This is where I would get upset, is we would have plans to do something. Somebody else would ask him, like, oh, hey, you want to do this thing? And he'd be like, I'm going to go do that thing. And I'm like, but
that's pretty rude.
I don't remember doing this, but it might have happened.
And, well, it was usually stuff with your family.
Oh, okay. That would make sense.
Because his family does things last minute, and so I'd had this expectation of, like, oh, we're going to the movies tonight, or we're doing this.
But my family wants
And then they're
that I can totally see myself doing. Yeah.
And the other thing is, like, because he has so many family members, he can't keep track of all the birthdays, especially if they're not in the fall. Because those are the only ones we know about, like, date-wise. So things would happen, like, oh, it's my nephew's birthday, we're going to go out to dinner. And I'd be like, but we were going to do a thing. And he's like, yeah, well, tough luck. And so it was, like, mostly those things where I'd feel...
Yeah,
kind of like...
I'll take fault for it.
I will say one of my biggest regrets in dating Daisy was in the very beginning. She had got tickets to go see The Cure at Hollywood Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I'll go with you. That's great. And then, like, the day of, I think, like, we were going to dinner or something. And so I just bailed. And I have never lived that down. I still feel so, like, guilty for doing that. Because she loved The Cure, especially at that time. And, like, she ended up going with her mom, who was pregnant with her brother at the time. And, like, she ended up, like, missing a song that she really wanted to hear. Because she had to, like, go get something for her. And she, like, just didn't have a good time. And I'm like... why did I bail? Like, I had these plans and then I just didn't go because I was, like, a little nervous about it and because I had this excuse to not go, and I did that.
What was the excuse?
Going to dinner with the family or whatever.
Oh.
It was just, like, some, like, nonchalant thing that could have been like, oh, I have plans.
Not even, like, a special occasion?
No, it was just, like, dinner or whatever. And I just, because at the time, again, like, I was very insecure and I didn't know and I was, like, scared and anxious all the time. And I didn't know how to handle that, so I'm just like, oh, I have an excuse, I'm going to take it.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt guilty to this day. And that was like, 7 years ago? And I still feel, I'm like, I should have just gone. It would have been a great time. It would have been a really cool concert, and she would have had a great time. And there's no reason why I shouldn't have gone. I was just scared, and I ran away. Yeah. It's just the gist of that.
Yeah. So and it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's okay to an extent. I mean, obviously, if you're thinking of flaking on your plans, tell somebody beforehand, especially if they're really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But you have the right to say no at any time.
Yeah.
100%.
But
yeah, I agree with that.
But also, there's a good way to handle it.
Yeah, but if you're also just like scared because it's out of your comfort zone, chances are, if you do it, and if you like want to, if the reason you don't want to go is because you're like anxious and scared about like just being out of your comfort zone, I think generally go.
Yeah, I mean, I would say...
you're going to go, and you're probably going to have a good time, and I think...
because it's so much worse in your head.
Yeah, it's going to be. And the guilt of not going because you got scared and ran away, I think is a more profound experience that just going and having a good time, then one, you overcame that, and you're like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, I'm just catastrophizing in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And that can help you get through that. And two, like, then you just help yourself, I feel like. I kind of lost my train of thought there halfway through. I think I said what I needed to say.
But also it is okay to, if you're just overwhelmed, take a step back.
Yeah, that's always true. And if it's more than just, like, I'm anxious about stepping out of my comfort zone. If there's like something about the person or something about the place or whatever, like that's all valid, and like communicate that, and like you never have to do anything.
You don't want to. Yeah.
If you don't want to, you don't. But again, what I'm saying is like if it's kind of a like superficial, self-imposed, like I'm just kind of scared.
But sometimes it's also hard to recognize that in the moment.
Exactly. But I'm just saying like that. I still regret that to this day, and I wish I went to go see The Cure with her. I feel like it would have been cool.
But anyways, for now, we're going to call it an episode. Thank you guys for listening, for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you just wanted to listen to this whole podcast, we're on Spotify and other podcasting platforms. Please go get a listen. And thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next time on King of the Bean.
Bye!
And tell us about your relationships and your experiences.
What you're comfortable sharing. It can be very personal.
It is personal, and you have the right to not share what you don't want.
You have the right to remain silent.
Yes, that. Anyways, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Pause everything. It's warm in here.